My first approach was music shouldn't be playing all the time. No matter how random and how cool it's being played back, after 3-4 minutes, it starts to just become background wallpaper.
Video game music. You already know how I feel about it. I love it. And if you have not, please watch part 1 before seeing this video. If you want, please. You know, that would be nice. Video games can build or create atmosphere, whether it's the graphics, lighting, art style, music, etc. Some games create such a great and amazing atmosphere, and it doesn't just have to be purely video game music. Some games use real or secular music in their games. The Grand Theft Auto series is a perfect example of this with their radio stations. In GTA games, driving is such a big part of it. And while you're driving, you can listen to music and change the channel on the radio station. And there's also even talk radio stations to help build the atmosphere and the vibe of where you are or what era you're in. Vice City uses a bunch of great popular 80s songs to help set the tone of the game. And many people think that Vice City has one of the best soundtracks just because of all the great 80s music it has and uses. GTA 4 has great radio stations to set the mood for its fictional version of New York. I personally really love the Vladivostok, I don't know how to pronounce it, radio station with this Russian and Ukrainian music. To be completely honest, I have no idea what the songs are talking about or what they're saying. But I just thought it was cool because you play as Nico, who was an Eastern European immigrant from Yugoslavia. And so it just seemed like kind of music that maybe, he would listen to. So I just listened to it, and I don't know, I like a lot of the songs, surprisingly. All the GTA games have amazing music, like GTA 5, San Andreas, 3. I love all these games and their music, but I think my favorite out of all the games is GTA 4. I love its atmosphere setting and its music. And Vice City is pretty great. They're all great. They're all great. Red Dead Redemption. The music in Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 is amazing, which I very, very briefly touched about Red Dead 2 in my last video. Both have beautiful music and overall amazing soundtracks. Both games also have a couple parts when you're riding your horse, a song will play. My favorite one from Red Dead Redemption 1 is after you finish the main story that you've been doing the whole game, a song called Compass will play as you ride your horse back home, and for the first time in the whole game, you get to go to your home and reunite with your family. There's another song that plays halfway through the game when you first get into Mexico, and it's a great moment, but I personally like the other one better, and I think it's more impactful and meaningful. Red Dead Redemption 2 makes Red Dead 1's story so much more meaningful and impactful. Red Dead Redemption 1, you have to find and capture some of your old gangmates. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel to the first game. It has a long story with an amazing, beautiful open world. And you're a part of a gang, and you spend so much time with all the people in it that you get connected to all of them. And there's a lot of characters, and I'm not good with names, but yet I still know all of the gang members' names, which just makes it more impactful and meaningful when you meet these characters again in the first game, and then you have to capture and bring them in, because now you know their background and their history that they have or had since the second game showed you that. Red Dead Redemption 2 has moments where songs play, just like the first one, like the song Unshaken, and that's the way it is.
The many miles we walk, the many things we learn.
I personally like and think that these moments are more impactful in the second game than in the first, but the first game still uses these moments to great effect and very well. Overall, I love both of the games, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when the nothing shines upon, then you show your little light. Twinkle, twinkle all the night. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your little spark. He could not see which way to go if you did though I know not what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
When it comes to atmosphere in video games, horror games excel. Atmosphere is such an important part in horror games, and games in general, but especially horror. It makes you feel invested, and it can give you feelings of dread or fear, or that this could be a real place where all this crap is happening. The Dead Space franchise has some great music and sound effects. The developers wanted to scare the player just with sound and music alone. And the music delivers. There are some harsh and horrible noises in the game, but it builds the atmosphere and creates pressure and dread, and it just gets you in these stressful situations where you just want to get out as fast and quickly as you can. I love the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star trailer, the one that I just played. It's one of the best video game trailers. The song even plays in the game, and there's a part where you can hear it being sung, and there's all these creepy marker cultists around, and the game just has really good atmosphere, and just the sound design and music is just on par. Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite horror games. I just played through it for the first time not too long ago. The game has such a great atmosphere, music, sound, and everything is so well thought out. While playing through the game, you start to piece together the story. The game will continuously mess with you emotionally, and it can be shocking at times. It's hard to understand what's happening until or near the end when you have all the pieces of the story. In the game, the enemies represent the main character James's emotions and represent different things, which I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played the game. It's a great psychological horror game, and the game is kind of depressing. If you like horror and you haven't played this game, please check it out. The Silent Hill HD collection gets a lot of hate, and I mean, it's understandable why, I guess, but I'd say still a little too much hate for, but that's the easiest way to experience it. And to be completely honest, I prefer the new voice acting than the old original voice acting.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
Anyways, back to the point. Silent Hill has some very creepy and beautiful pieces of music. But there is also a lot of silence. Akira Yamaoka, who is the creator of the music and sound in Silent Hill 2, has stated, quote, "Silence is a sound," end quote. There are many times in the game where it's quiet, too quiet, and it's not a peaceful silence, but it's a silence that makes you uneasy and tense. Sometimes the silence can be broken with static from your radio, which means that there's monsters nearby. Quote, "I really tried to create something that would surprise you, something that would challenge your imagination, as if the sounds were going under your skin," end quote, Yamaoka. Silent Hill 2's music and sound effects are very unique and have their own sound to them. The game will have moments of silence, or moments of harsh, freaky music and sounds. There are also times where the music is beautiful, but also can be very somber and sad. Some of my favorite moments in the game was after something big happens in the story or in the game, and afterwards there's somber music playing. The game is not always super tense, but there are times where it can be more calm and have somber moments. The save rooms in Resident Evil, which I know I already talked about, also give you a break from the tension and action. I know I already talked about, but I just kind of want to just briefly touch on it just because it kind of fits in with the whole horror thing of this. Since the game uses different camera angles, you never know what's behind a door when you have to open it. And it brings feelings of apprehension, which is the same thing with the Resident Evil games. There are atmospheric sounds and sound cues are used in horror games. Silent Hill, you can hear static on your radio if a monster is nearby. Resident Evil 4, you can hear a regenerator before ever seeing it, and then you know that you're going to have to fight one soon. Resident Evil 2 Remake, you can hear Mr. X's loud footsteps as he walks around. Sounds and sound cues play a very important part, not just in games, but also a lot in horror games as well, which I did talk about this in the last video as well, so I won't go into depth anymore about this. Another great example of music in games is Bioshock. I've only played the first one, but the game starts off and you go into this underwater city and it's pretty spooky. You hear all these crazy people and like shadows everywhere and noises, and you're defenseless at first until you find a wrench, and then it becomes an action game. But it's still creepy and has like horror elements. Scary music or horror in general isn't only used in horror games or movies. There are also spooky parts or spooky music in non-horror games as well. In Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, the Lavender Town music is very creepy. And there's some interesting creepypastas about it, which I don't know if it's true or not. But Ocarina of Time, Shadow Temple, and even the enemies, the Re-Deads, who scream at you whenever they look at you, are actually pretty freaky. In Halo, the flood music is pretty creepy. Horror in general and horror music isn't only used in horror media. Side note, Halo Infinite was awesome. One of my favorite moments was I was climbing and grappling up this mountain, and then I got to the top, and then a new version of the song Under the Cover of Night, which is a song that plays in the second or third mission, in the third mission of the first Halo Combat Evolved. And then I saw a Crash Guardian in the horizon, and it was just such a cool moment. Music in video games helps build and create an immersive atmosphere and can help bring emotions of sadness that will go with the story, or can be used to make you unsettled or scared. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to make sure while writing this video that I didn't repeat anything that I said in part 1. I wanted to talk about music and atmosphere in horror games, but I also want to talk about a couple other games that I like as well. In the description, I'm going to link a couple videos that I watched just for fun, and then I also used them while writing this video and making this video. There's an interview with, I forget his name, but with the director of Dead Space. That's just really interesting just to hear about their creative process. I'll link a Silent Hill 2 video in there, and just also another one, just a short Silent Hill video, and there's another one just like the making of Silent Hill 2. Regardless, guys, again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't, please see part 1, and I'll just see you all in the next video, guys. Peace out.